Okay, cool. Now we got it. All right, perfect. Awesome. So yeah, thanks again for everybody who decided to join this call today. We're super excited to be talking about our ambassadors program, and yeah, would love to get feedback from all of you. Again, for anybody that just joined, if you look at the calls Q&A text chat, which is right above the Alio assembly voice call that we're in, you can see a Notion doc. And actually, I'll just pin that real quick so people can find it more easily. Okay, just pinned it. You can actually follow along and see what we're talking about. But really, this call is to get feedback from all of you and help us to shape this program. So everything that I've typed up right now is just things that I came up with in my head. But really, I think there's a lot of work to be done, and we, yeah, love to get your feedback. So also, just for context on the call, we have Errol, who's one of our developer relations folks here at Alio. We have Sam, who helps with strategy and growth, and then we also have Alex, who's Elio's COO. So really excited to have these guys on the call as well to contribute to this
Everybody.
conversation. Hey. And yeah, so we have some people that want to come up on stage. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you want to come up on stage, feel free to raise your hand. We're happy to bring you up and loop you into the conversation. Otherwise, you can type your questions in the calls Q&A chat as we usually do with this format. Cool. So maybe just to start off, perhaps I will just give a high-level overview of the Alio Ambassadors Program and sort of what we were initially thinking for the program. And then we'd love to get maybe some feedback from all of you. So quickly, what's the purpose, right? So the Alio Ambassadors Program is to more generally help us try to promote the Alio ecosystem by giving community members such as yourselves the opportunity to represent our brand. And anybody in our community will have the opportunity to become ambassador if you want, and essentially receive certain benefits for all of your hard work. And our additional goal is to actually sort of create unique incentives such that we can encourage members to not only join this program, but recruit as many new members to join as well, and really just help push out to a larger group of people what we're trying to do. So one of the first areas that I wanted to focus on with this program was actually our language specific community. So I know we have a lot of people from, for example, like our Russian community and also our Turkish community, just as examples. And I know that there's already a number of independently run Telegram channels out there and other forums where people have been doing an amazing job of translating content, also communicating general materials with folks. And we really want to try to engage with those communities a bit more. And so one of my initial thoughts was to actually try and promote some of those folks who are already leading those communities as ambassadors. And the general purpose there would be to help us share information about the project, and also do some of this translation, and then also even create new content in various other languages aside from English, which I know people have already been doing, for example, with like things around the test net and our setup ceremony. So we've already kind of been seeing this on an individual basis, but I think we want to make it more formalized and actually try to help support you to do that. And I really do think these language specific ambassadors would be a cornerstone to help us penetrate into some of these foreign communities outside the United States where our company is based, and just showcase what we're doing. So that's one specific area. And we'll definitely be open to taking comments on that as soon as I finish some of this other stuff. The second piece is more general, like content creation. So in addition to having folks that can help represent our brand in these independent language communities, we also want to allow people to create either one-off material or recurring content, right? So this could be in the form of like basic use case tutorials built on Leo. So I know this is something we discussed during our last community call. I know a lot of folks are trying to get a better grasp of more generally what are zero knowledge based applications, right, that you can actually build with Leo. And so I think demonstrating small applications and being able to even, show yourself building them from the command line, and yeah, doing it in another language to support these other communities would be like really amazing. So that's another area. But this could also be everything from like generating memes. I think that's definitely something we need. I'm in a lot of other Discord channels where memes are a pretty big thing, and for us, we don't really have any of it. So if people are interested in that, that's even something we'd want to support as part of this ambassador program. Just somebody that's creating this kind of content. And then, yeah, generally like education materials and everything in between. So that's another aspect that we want to engage people on with this ambassadors program. So generally, those are kind of the two main focus areas that I've come up with so far. Would love to see what other people think about as other focus areas maybe we could consider. But before we jump into that, I also just want to mention another aspect of this program, which I think could be interesting, and that's having different ambassador program levels. Like I said before, anybody who wants to be an ambassador, will give you the opportunity. We'll let you start out within this program, but you would essentially be beginning at level one. Now, I need to come up with more creative names for these levels, but I was thinking maybe something having like four different levels, right? Starting all the way at like maybe you're a brand new person, all the way up to level four, which would be you're one of our key ambassadors representing the brand. And with each of these levels, you would get like different benefits. Um, and so, yeah, some of these benefits could include, and again, this is not final, but I was just sort of thinking about it and would love to hear the kinds of benefits all of you would really want from being a part of this program. But one is obviously like the recognition. So providing you with a unique role, right, in Discord that can easily identify you, or providing you an Alio achievement. So just as a side note, this is something else I'm putting together is this Alio achievements program, which will be part of like our leaderboard. When you complete certain tasks or participate in certain activities, you'll actually get an achievement. So maybe we could even bake that into this ambassadors program, right? Depending on what level you're in, maybe you can get a certain achievement, for example. And again, maybe this could even be displayed not only in our Discord server, but could perhaps be like an NFT issued on Alio that you can show to people and say, hey, I got this achievement for creating like amazing educational content on for Alio, and that's sort of like your forte, something like that, right? So a recognition piece. But then maybe this other incentives could even entail like giving people Alio credits, for example, right? If that's something maybe we want to end up doing, providing early access to different programs and information about Alio, right? If you are, a higher tier ambassador who's going to be helping us try to push out some of this stuff. Or something else that might be interesting is even providing reimbursements for travel to specific conferences and places in other countries where maybe Alio will be represented, but we'd love to connect with people in the local community who can actually, help us better engage with folks in these different regions, specifically because we want to try to, really create a global brand here. So those are sort of the general ideas that I've come up with so far. But again, really, I think the main purpose of this conversation is to get more feedback from all of you. So, based on everything I just said right there, I kind of want to open up the floor to questions or comments and see what other people want to get out of this program and how we can make it more effective based on some of the things that I said right now. So, I know we have Evgeny and Nick on stage. I don't know if maybe you guys want to start off the conversation. I know you all had some thoughts on this from our last call. So yeah, maybe if you two want to start, that would be great.
Yeah.
Evgeny, please go ahead. Hey guys.
Yeah, thank you. Hello everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me here. I followed up on the Anthony's document so far, and this is looking great as a start. And I wanted to share main points about Alio, specifically against other projects with ambassador programs. Is we have a high technical level here, difficulty level. So so far, some educational content, original content, or translation of existing content like ZK Encyclopedia is what we should focus on. And taking into account that this material is tough, we should focus on smaller number of submissions. So focus on quality over quantity somehow. Because typically ambassador programs influx a lot of new people, new users, and quality of submissions is not always the best. So I think we should try to avoid it to basically have less work and checking this content, checking this stuff, translations, etc.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
talking
no,
of yeah, sorry.
go ahead.
Talking of socialization, this is also great. The content is an easy start for community to hook in, to start reading more about different topics, application, building stuff. And Yeah, like something like memes is a good stage one activity for ambassadors and communities to start with, to begin with. And then we can move forward to more complex content like educational video, original articles in different languages, etc.
Yeah, well, one of the things, guys, is when we're talking about what kind of incentives we have access to, a lot of that is going to be is going to be under the constraint of what we're able to figure out that we're even able to do legally, right? So we're kind of in the middle of this with legal team that we've been working with. So there's a lot of kind of unknowns in regards to like what we can offer as a carrot. One of the things I think I believe Mina did this one, but this is something I think you getting suggested in another call, which might be interesting, is the possibility for kind of early access to a sale, basically. Alex, do you think that it's conceivable that that could be in the cards as an incentivization method?
Yeah, look, I mean, honestly, the answer is I don't know. But the bigger answer is we want our community, like all of you who are here now, to feel like you're actually part of this, and being part of it means having a stake in it in a way in which you can benefit from its growth. So I want to be as creative as we can to support, that goal. And what Mina did, I mean, sounds like a potential avenue to explore. I don't know enough about what they did to say whether or not we could do it, but like I said, overall, I mean, the point of this is to just encourage folks to, to be even above and beyond what you guys are already doing and contributing to the community. So I guess we're exploring every option, and yeah, and I think there'll be kind of a lot more to come on this front. Sorry, that was a non-answer, but.
Well, common practice is some drops, tokens, and allocation, and focus should be done on the allocation to make people have skin in the game. So you build community which is dependent on Aleo success. They want to contribute and make success together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm a big believer, and this is one of the reasons why I think blockchains and cryptocurrencies are so exciting is, you have an open source project like ours and you give the community effectively equity in it. That's one of the reasons I think it's so magical. So yeah, look, we want to figure out how to do it. I guess the art here is how to do it in a way that steers clear of any potential legal trouble. I mean, you guys are probably all familiar with some of the projects that have seen that happen, and I think there will be many more in the coming years. So so that said, that's the main thing that we have to consider, which is why unfortunately there's a lot of lawyers involved in this, but definitely want to make sure you guys can feel like a part of this, and both not only in terms of a community, but also in terms of value creation. So more to follow.
And just to build on top of what Evgeny said, I just wanted to add that for a zero knowledge topic, it's very important to build a strong content base. And for us as a community, it's also important to have simple guides for beginners. Of course, we can add more information on top of that, but I see that community in general is pretty, on low level of understanding what is zero knowledge and what is Alio. And for me, the main focus for Alio should be edutainment strategy. So not just kind of boring content translated in different languages, but something like games or whatever connected with zero knowledge concept itself and with Alio. And we already discussed that maybe it's a good idea to have some kind of a set of use cases which we could create together, maybe to announce some kind of contest for a community. And then based on this top amount of use cases, create programs in Alio together. And so by doing that, we can create a huge amount of existing use cases for all members just to demonstrate how zero knowledge and Alio works. So that's the first part. And second thing here is about content. So I also noticed in different projects that amount of content is usually huge, but quality, oh, that's a disaster. And in our sphere, in zero knowledge, quality must be in a corner. So we should think how to make sure that content that we produce or maybe translate is on a high quality level. And that means that we must find a good contributors with a good knowledge of this topic, of zero knowledge topic, and of course language. So that's maybe also something to think about.
Yeah, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Errol. You haven't, you're kind of you're fresh on the scene, but where as of right now, where is your kind of head at with what you think would be good steps towards this kind of broader education program, and have you thought of any kind of like UGC, like bringing the community into it to help them contribute to the education stuff?
I love the idea of Goldfinch. I know that it's totally different project, but they have some kind of flight academy now, and a lot of education materials they provide for community, and some kind of assessments every week, just to test the knowledge, etc. So, and based on that, it's much easier to build a strong community, build memes, build infographics, etc., because people really must understand what is zero knowledge in order to create high quality content. Because at this stage, I must say that maybe 10% of people will really know what is zero knowledge. So,
like, what if we actually, an interesting idea on that is like, what if we created some sort of program where we create educational content, people go through it, and then there's some sort of like quiz at the end or something, and if you, I don't know, pass the quiz, you can get some like achievement as part of the Alio achievements.
yeah.
Then every so often we release like content. I don't know, maybe that could be interesting. Because I haven't seen that necessarily for zero knowledge yet, having like an educational program. That's actually an interesting idea.
It would just
Sunday school, but for zero knowledge.
Yeah.
But you can make it like fun though.
Sorry, guys. Sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to say that it also could help us to separate, a part of community who already knows what is zero knowledge from the other people who are just beginners, and
Right.
we can build this kind of appreciation for knowing things, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that could be an interesting way to survey the types of people that are already in the community as well, just to see like where the knowledge base is currently standing. Because at least for me, I'm not even sure I have that information, so that makes sense.
Adding to what Nick just said is, first step should be to understand the goal, the final target, where this ambassador program is leading. Is it the marketing goal to prepare people for token sale if this will happen? I'm not sure if it was announced. Or is it to build your user base for mainnet, the builders, the developers who will support your chain and application stack? So this is an important point for me.
Also, I think speaking of the quality, it is like what I have seen in many projects. It is usually we have a few rigid forms that you have to fill this and this and this, and then there are plenty of submission with the same thing. So let's say if there is a form saying you have to create a 1 minute video, then people will just create a 1 minute video, and just for the sake of filling that form, that quality will degrade, right? So I think we should keep it a little flexible. So what I have observed, the Graph protocol had a program. So during that program, they didn't like really mention anything specific to fill in the form. They were just like you can. They just gave us some ideas that we can work upon them, but nothing was there in the form as such. You could just fill whatever you did. So I think this way we can just encourage people to do what they are good in, and this way we can have good quality stuff, because people will do what they are good in, not just for the filling field in the form. So they will not just create low quality, and we will have good quality content. So that might be one consideration that we can like keep in mind.
think that makes sense. Cool. And also, yeah, I guess we just need to figure out how we can ensure like that people make sure that content is good. But I guess if people create content, we can just either work with them and maybe ask them to make edits to it or something like that. Make sure
It's interesting. I don't think anyone solved that problem of how to do that because
I think
I think you're totally
there
right.
is a solution for that because,
Oh.
for example, there is another program. I know everyone talking about it, but in that program, for example, we are ambassador leaders, and people, for example, translating some contents from English to Turkish. We are first controlling them and making sure them they are not translated from directly to Google, and if we approve that translate, then they can publish and they can count. I think you can do something like that also.
Yeah, and I totally agree on that. The process of content creation should be well centralized through ambassadors, because many projects, and as Nick mentioned, the Goldfinch, the amount of content submitted can be tremendous. Hundreds, maybe dozens, maybe hundreds of submissions per each task, and you will just end up checking them, reading them, and trying to read what is worth reward, what is worth mentioning, etc. So, in this difficult, well, them like zero knowledge, there should be moderation, pre-moderation, and we need to build community first, then create content, not vice versa.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think in terms of building community first and then creating content, I wonder, so based on all the things we said right now, like, is there a particular aspect that you think would be the best for building the community first? Because my original thought was either trying to target those language communities and start to maybe facilitate activity through that, or start working on some of those more simple Leo applications and just creating a bunch of test examples. Like, for example, if people are really interested in games, maybe it would be cool to have, Errol's already working on something, maybe somebody else can make another game, and maybe we get like 5 or 6 games that people put together, these simple applications, and we actually create like I don't know, some sort of marketing around that and be like, hey, check out the Alio game room or something. And we have like these 6 different gaming applications using Leo, something like that. I don't know. But I'm curious if you have thoughts on what would be a good first step to grow the community first, kind of like what you mentioned.
Yeah, and as King Super suggested, there should be basically open-ended tasks, like build whatever you want, but make it quality one. Like, if you're into games, build games. If you're into guides, build
Right,
guides.
okay.
Build video, type an article that people will understand. And English is the first one to do in, and other language can follow up, do translations, and ambassadors can check that. Or we can go vice versa. Someone will type something in Turkish, and then it will be translated into English for your observation and moderation. But
the thing I was going to say there, for somebody to build an application, like, what would be a good incentive for them to do that? Would you think they would just do it if we put out a form, or would they need to have some sort of like monetary reward or something like that? I think that's what I'm also curious about from your perspective. Like, what would be a good motivator for somebody to do that? Like, spend the time to do that?
I think the best incentive is just that they want to build something in with zero knowledge, and I think we just got to find those people, right? Because there are really cool things that you really can only build with this type of product, right? So yeah, I don't think that we like, yeah, sure, you can like you can do like cheeky little contests and things like that, but I think ultimately what we really want is people that kind of come to us and want to use the tools. Guys like like Spruce or all these other like cooler projects where they're out there actively looking. They want ZK and they don't know where to get it, and they look at us and they say, wow, okay, here's a package. So I think that is what we would want to be the primary incentive for actually deving stuff up. then anything on top of that is just kind of like it's almost just like a nice to have for like getting the community to involve. Like it would be cool, for example, if we were to have something that was like assume our edutainment content eventually gets to the point where it's like we actually can explain to someone who has never programmed before how to write a Leo app, and then they make some kind of like battleship shell game or something along those lines, right? Yeah, I think that we should focus on the incentive for developing just being that zero knowledge is so cool, and Leo is such a good way for building zero knowledge.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like I know Errol, I think you were trying to talk earlier. Do you have any thoughts on this? Because I know you're already building like a Hangman application on Leo. Or yeah, you have any thoughts on this topic in general? About how we could approach it? You're also muted if you're trying to talk. Not sure. But...
You're not coming through there, Errol.
Okay,
give you
that's
a
all
sec
right.
give you a sec to fix your mic here.
Oh, he said mic doesn't work. Okay, that's all right. But yeah, maybe we can get some input
to
from
reply
him
to
later.
some.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
yeah, finding genuine community members and developers who are believers, like let's say in zero knowledge, is good, but it's easier if you already have a spotlight targeting on Alio, and in order to make it more, I don't know, popular in crypto communities, some incentives, some I don't know, reasonable prizes in the Leo credits, for example, will attract more attention in developers communities, and then it will bring more believers and genuine followers and community members.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we were doing with like the feature bounties program as well. So maybe there's a way to sort of incorporate that, but with the ambassadors program as well. Makes sense. Also, okay, so there's some text in here in the chat. So here somebody was saying here are some variants that you can choose from to incorporate in your ambassadors program. Task system and quality control team. Okay, so I think we were kind of covering that. This is when people submit tasks, which will then be approved or disapproved by quality officers. Okay, works when the community is small and easy to monitor everything, but when the community gets bigger, you already guessed it gets harder. Right? I definitely think there needs to be some sort of controls for that for sure. The second thing is point system based on task submissions. I think we kind of started that with our leaderboard, but maybe we can have that more incorporated. So for each task completed, people will be awarded a certain amount of points, which will reflect on their leaderboard activity status. Works best in communities with a large amount of people. There's a bit of chaos. These are two main ambassador systems that I've encountered. You can splice things up to create more engagement from the community. Quizzes, right? So we talked about that. So maybe I think something around that educational piece might be interesting, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. AMA, Ask Me Anything. We did do that once with the Russian community. I think we should do those again. I think they were really helpful. So maybe even just having a separate task or category or something to do AMA sessions on a more regular basis with our ambassadors who can do the translations. I think that's good. Activity bot, already implemented, but thought to write them down here if you're planning to remove it. Right. Yeah, so it's just some ideas, some examples of tasks, right? Translations, we said that. Infographics, I think that's really good. Social media, informative posts about the projects, memes, yep, we talked about that. Videos, yep, articles, creating a community, hold various events, right? People can organize themselves to meet and talk about the projects or visit an AMA hosted by the team. That's good. Art related to the project, I didn't consider that. Everything from pictures to rap and poems be considered art. That's kind of interesting.
Incredibly important, vital.
Yeah. Yeah. Special tasks that are given by the team. For example, the team needs a tweet storm in Twitter, and they will announce it to the public as a special task. Oh, okay. Having a difference between like, hey, we're putting out a special task, and maybe somehow having people contribute to that, right? Quizzes, they already said. Becoming a node operator. Okay, yeah, I think that's a good one since we're going to be launching our testnet relatively soon. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for all that. 100 skill. Definitely follow up there.
Yeah, that's basically how typical ambassador program looks like. A lot of content, community-focused tasks, and I guess Alio is a little bit different here, right? We're more into technical, into zero knowledge understanding.
Yeah.
Mode in zero knowledge.
Yeah.
I think we all know Evgeny, and we've kind of had this instinct from the literally from the very beginning when Ant and I were trying to think about how do we set up the Discord, that we wanted the way that we bootstrap to be via edutainment. I think it was you that said that. That is how that is one of the ways that we kind of growth hack and onboard people, was by having high quality education stuff. And yeah, so I think that some of the like you said, the understanding level for a lot of these folks is really at ground zero. And so I think that it would be valuable if we literally just had zero knowledge for beginners, and we maybe just walked people straight up from what encryption is to why that's important, and then up to what zero knowledge is and why that's going to be the new big thing. And then once you do that,
Somebody in the chat said, they'd like to, because Errol asked, and also if anybody didn't see this, he was curious to hear what people would like to learn more about specifically, and that there's a lot we can try to explain, but if people don't care as much, then we aren't being efficient. So if anybody has thoughts, please let us know about that. So if you do have any, feel free to type in the chat or raise your hand and speak now. But the first thing that somebody said in response to that question was, they'd like to learn more about zero knowledge conceptually, just understanding it better. So
I think that's where a lot of folks are. Yeah, they are at ground zero.
Yeah,
which is fun. That is, it's the most exciting to learn from ground zero, because everything you learn is so huge, and it's also, I find it entertaining to do this. Errol, I don't know if your mic's working, dude, but why don't we set up a call after this, and you and Ant and I don't know if you have time after this, but I don't know if you ever looked at that one little Bitcoin beginner thing that I did internally, Errol, but maybe we should go back to kind of building on that, and from ground, how to get people from not understanding what cryptography and blockchain is to understanding why zero knowledge is important and why Alio is cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, I think we can also leverage the ZK salons for this as well. So for example, if we start getting content created around the basics of zero knowledge, we can even try to use the ZK salon as a forum to essentially maybe follow up on some of that content, right? So for example, if somebody puts out something about, okay, how does, I don't know, maybe one day they explain how elliptic curve cryptography is related to zero knowledge. Then we could have a follow-on discussion on Monday where it's like, hey, for the discussion on Monday, watch this video, try to learn as much as you can. And then we literally just have an open discussion where people can ask questions and continue to add on to what they learned. Because, I've been in the crypto space for 6 years now. And when I was at Berkeley, I always remembered the best way that I was able to understand and learn content was not by reading technical white papers and trying to memorize all the information. It was reading it, trying to grasp as much as I could, but then actually going to a white paper circle where you would sit down with other people and basically talk about the content. Because in a lot of cases, people were able to explain concepts in a way that made sense to me versus the way that they were actually explained at a very technical level, like in a white paper, for example, right? So I think having some combination of that could be really interesting, for sure. And then just looking at some of these other questions, Genio said where to send works which are done. I guess you're referring to any content that we ask you to create. Yeah, we don't have anything set up right now, but I guess whenever we put out some content that we might want ambassadors to create, you could probably just I guess we'll have to figure that out, but you maybe just email it to us or send it as a DM in Discord or something like that. but we'll let you know when we figure that out. Yeah, somebody said still more info to come. Yeah, so thanks for that reply. Yeah, and then somebody else said, "Yep, it's a great idea to hear about the basics of zero knowledge and why Alio is using the technology." Right? Yeah. Okay. So I think one of the key takeaways here is that as part of this program, one of the key focuses should really just be on the fundamentals, right? So like, what is zero knowledge cryptography? Right? How does that relate to Alio? And then the third piece is like expanding and actually building out some of those use cases, which we kind of talked about before. So I think at least from what I'm getting here, that seems to be like a key focus. Yeah. Oh, I see also Iggy came up on stage. Did you want to?
Oh, yes.
Anything?
I don't know that I was invited to a chat, and I was like, oh, okay, what should I do?
Okay.
And hello. So,
Hi.
yeah. So I personally think that, like, seeing from the success of Ethereum, they have a really huge, like, developer audience and a group of developer constantly helping the ecosystem to grow. And I see that, like, also, like, Alio have their own language called Leo, so it's very important for us to like build up a developer base who is able to like build application on top of Leo. So I really think that Leo should focus on attracting developers who is interested in CK space and think that CK is very attractive and cool. Just like how Ethereum back in the day, like they start with like smaller project like CryptoKitties, and
Right. Yeah.
and so that's why I always feel like that Leo have a lot. I mean, Leo language have a lot of potential. We can maybe now is not the right time, and to have workshop in a local area, or maybe it's not the right time to have university workshop, but we could potentially do that. I always feel like that there is a lot of potential in this language. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello.
definitely. I think that's a good point. Sorry.
Yeah, and I personally know that the creator of Dark Forest, so Brian Gu, they are working on a CK dungeon, which is really cool. So I wonder what kind of tech they're using. Like I'm pretty sure it's not using Alio because we're still at a very early stage.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that's a
also
good
like
point.
gaming maybe can create a lot of hype around the protocol, and yeah, gaming definitely is something that maybe we can focus on to attract like wider audience, not only developer, and also like I personally like machine learning side a lot, how to do federated machine learning with CK. That could be attract some professional, maybe data scientists, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I think the analogy of what you talked about with CryptoKitties within the Ethereum community as sort of like an initial use case that really got people interested. It was kind of one of the first NFT products to really blow up. I think really makes a lot of sense, and having something similar in scope to that for Alio, I think would be really helpful. I think you gave a few examples there, right? Like maybe it's focusing on the gaming use cases, which we talked about, maybe a federated machine learning application with ZK. That could also be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts on a specific application that we think would really get people interested. I mean, we don't have to have an answer now, but I think that could definitely be incorporated into what we try to push with the ambassadors program. Okay. And then, yeah, so somebody else typed in the calls Q&A chat, there is a need for control over the quality of work and plagiarism, right? Because it will be like in other projects, thousands of useless memes that are crammed with Reddit, but no one watches them and even has no idea what they are about. Yeah, that's a good point. And this has come up a few times during this discussion already. So I'm definitely going to take that down as a note that we need to focus on. So I guess the question is, how do we ensure that there is quality control over the content being produced? Yeah, I think we've talked about a few different ways to maybe do that. Maybe there's just a committee of ambassadors or somebody like that that can review these things. But yeah, for sure, we should focus on it.
I think we could have some initial screening, and we could select some few people only, like after going through their profile. So that way, we will know for sure that these people have a record of having good things, have produced good things in the past, and will perform better. So I think that I mean I'm not sure. Maybe it's too early to comment, but that could be a good thing. Like having an initial screening to select people based on their past experience would be nice, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that makes
And
sense.
in addition to that, there should be no obligatory prizes. Should be no guaranteed prizes for contributions, etc. So it will not go turn into conveyor like stuff. So basically speaking, you should not promise rewards to anyone unless there is something meaningful submitted and original. Otherwise, as long as you promise some rewards, you get flooded with submissions and low quality content.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of why I was asking that earlier about like the incentive piece, like what people thought on that. But I do think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe it's something more general where we don't guarantee anything, but if you're an ambassador who's been with us for a while and you're constantly making contributions and this sort of thing, then it's more of finding some unique benefit on a one-to-one basis, right? So we're not promising anything. It's just more like, hey, if you're somebody that's really involved with us, like we can always, figure out how you can, like Alex was saying, like really have equity stake in what we're building. But you'd have to just organically want to contribute and be going above and beyond. I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
and
see that.
also like the specific case, that someone mentioned in the chat that we could have countless memes. So that usually happens when we will have a specific field in the form that I earlier talked about. So when you add that you have to give a meme submission, people will submit memes. So this is the reason why I was saying that it is important to have a flexible form that where anyone can have anything that they have contributed. They can write it down. That's not a specific field.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think if we had a flexible form, people will submit memes regardless? Just curious.
Maybe, but these people, I think, let's say I am a developer, so I will prefer to code something rather than developing memes. So this way, everyone will have their own choices. So whoever is good in something will do that. I for sure will not submit memes, but maybe someone would love memes, he can submit memes. But this way, we will have the distribution of things,
Yeah.
and there is no restriction that you have to do this, you have to do this, and you will not
Yeah.
have one thing done by all.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. So we don't want to have restrictions on what people can create because then you won't get as legitimate content. Right. Okay.
Yeah, but it should be categorized. Like there should be categories if you prefer some forms. So people choose like, is it content? Is it development? Is it guide, educational material, etc. And on top of that, I really think that ambassadors should focus on not creating content, but organizing groups, language communities, helping people create content in the way it's required and the way it's seen by the program, and basically organizing and helping others grow and create more relevant content.
Yeah. So, for example, let's say things get kind of dangerous when you specify it too much. So, let's say you say create a video. That is okay. But if you create a video on this topic, then everyone will make that video on that topic only, and then you will have too many videos on the same topic but not that of a great quality, right? So going to my previous example, in the like graph protocol, they had a submission, they just had a field, create an application using graph APIs, and they didn't mention that what the application should be about or anything. So when you have this flexibility, right, so you will have different types of people come up with different ideas, and you will have some creative things.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes sense for sure. Okay, so just quickly, I know Sandstar, you joined the stage. Is there anything that you wanted to mention? I want to give you a chance to talk if you had anything to share.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh, is that
Okay,
you, Errol?
yeah. Sorry, I
Okay,
just had
nice,
to switch
awesome. Yeah.
account in order to make it work. One of the things I want to mention is I'm trying to make a game of Hangman and write a walkthrough for how to use it, because this is the basis for everything you want to do. It's using Leo, it's interacting with the chain, and it's showing you where the ZK is applicable in the gaming space. From there, we can try and make some more games. I mean, the creators of Dark Forest, they gave a presentation about other ideas that can be applied in ZK. I mean, some of the big projects is going to take a while to get to. Is you can build Minecraft on there. There's a multiplayer online game called EVE Online. Any games where you have an element of information asymmetry or a fog of war, you can put online. Long term, those games would be great, but in the beginning, it's nicer to start with the simpler ones like Hangman, or even poker games, card games, and things like that. So we're going to start moving in that direction.
So
Awesome.
that's really cool. Yeah, I would like to know more about those. But I personally think that like meme is not really a priority. It shouldn't be a priority for the community, because there is not much content that you can use it as a meme. Like you can't really make a joke out of something like that serious. Yeah, I personally don't really like the idea of having meme, or I mean at this stage.
Yeah, memes can be nice, but ideally we're building a project, and we're building what we think are great tools, and we won't realize the value of those tools until people use them. So primarily, we want to focus a bit on people using them, and if memes will help, then that would be nice. But perhaps we don't have to fully focus on memes.
Yeah, I agree
Maybe
with that.
develop a meme.
Yeah, for sure. I
I'm
know.
sorry.
Okay, there's just something weird about the crypto space that people. Well, okay, the first thing I like to say is if you work. I know. Well, I should preface this by saying everything that we're building in Alio doesn't have to be used in a blockchain or crypto context, right? Like you can use all these privacy preserving primitives to build, more private applications on Web3 more generally. But obviously, crypto and blockchain is a key market for us, which is why we're focusing on it. A lot of you are all from that ecosystem. But anyway, all I was going to say is, for whatever reason, memes in the crypto community, especially on Twitter and these other forums, is just like huge. I remember there was actually, this is actually a really good example of where a meme did help. Was Eli Ben Sasson, the CEO and co-founder of Starkware, posted a tweet, or sorry, he replied to a tweet where Vitalik Buterin said that he thought zero-knowledge cryptography was going to be one of the next key innovations in like the next 5 years. And then Eli replied and said, "I agree with that." Or no, I think he said snarks specifically. That was it. He said, "I think snarks and zero knowledge is going to be important." And then Eli Ben Sasson replied and said, "Well, I agree with that, except it's going to be Starks, not snarks." Now, I don't want to get in that debate because technically a Stark is a snark, different conversation. But anyway, he created this whole thread, and all these other people from various projects, like Alio commented on it, Mina commented on it, Aztec Protocol commented on it. Everybody started replying to his thread, talking about why they think snarks are more effective and not Starks, and trying to sort of call him out there. And in the middle of this thread, somebody posted this meme about like referencing Starkware, right? And I think it was like this goofy looking guy, like trying to I can't remember exactly what it was. I don't know if Sam you remember, but I just remember this meme came up and like it blew up and got everybody's super interested in the topic, right? Because maybe they didn't fully understand all the technical things that these other founders were trying to explain in their tweet, but they saw this funny meme and they're like, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, Starkware is like whatever, blah 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 blah." So anyway, yeah, I agree
Are
with
we
you
talking
that
about the thing that blew up in our Slack?
I think so. Yeah. Do you remember what it was? The meme. Let me see if I can
I
find
think
it.
I think I saved a copy of it on my computer.
They did. It was like a pretty good one because I even had other people in like the zero knowledge space that were like, that was actually pretty smart. Anyway, long story short is, yeah, I agree with Iggy. Like, we shouldn't necessarily make it like a priority, but definitely if people want to create stuff, I mean, I'm not opposed to. Oh, here it was. Here it is. Right here.
Find
I'm
it?
gonna.
Are you posting
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Post it in the chat.
yeah. I'll post it in
So,
the chat.
so you
Anyway.
guys basically had a zero knowledge transaction right now. Like you proved you know what your Anthony is talking about by not showing what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
There you go.
Alio fixes this.
Okay, desktop. Okay, here we go. All right. I just uploaded the meme in the calls Q&A chat. So this was it. After people started getting to this huge debate, somebody created this meme because I think they claim that like, oh, their proof size is only 200 gigabytes or something, but it doesn't really, yeah.
Was
work the way they-
was that actually put into that thread? I don't remember seeing that.
I think so, yeah, or it was somehow related to it. But anyway.
Yes, memes
kinda got off
memes are
track.
powerful. Memes are powerful objects.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Going back to the text, will this call be recorded? Yeah, thanks for replying to that, Evgeny. Yeah, okay. Person had to go, that's
Yes,
fine.
by the way, memes, it's a good way to make complicated things easier. And in our case, it's really actual.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. I think, yeah, these are all really good comments and ideas. If anybody has more thoughts that they didn't get a chance to discuss here, I mean, feel free to share it with me or Sam or Errol, or you can also just post it maybe in like the ideas channel or something like that. But I think the main goal with this is over the next week or so, we want to try to have something more formalized, taking into account all this feedback, and yeah, just kind of put something out there. It to me, it seems like the first focus area will be maybe those language specific communities. So looking at the folks that have already been leading some of those independent Telegram channels and seeing how we can loop them more into this and sort of broadcasting content. And then, so I think that that'll be the first thing. And then the second thing will probably be, let's see, maybe doing something along like the more general survey that King Super and some other people were talking about, just to see like what kinds of content people want to create, and then maybe also trying to do some sort of initial vetting process to find out, okay, who are people that are creating really good content or have a solid background, and then seeing how they can maybe support us in terms of vetting future content that people maybe want to produce. But yeah, I think finding that good balance between, okay, people that want to produce content versus what Evgeny was talking about, just helping to grow these communities and helping to assist people in pursuing different, creative avenues that they're suited to do, I think is the main focus.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think we should focus on two groups basically. One is the people who don't know about Alio but want to be involved and want to learn about zero knowledge and teach others, like newcomers to this chat or people in other chats. And the other group is those who already know what is zero knowledge, or developers will help support the infrastructure for Alio, like building apps and building use cases.
Exactly right, Evgeny. Somewhere deep in the depths of our Byzantine Notion pages, there is a list where we kind of outline exactly what you're talking about, where it's like the different within the kind of broad thing of education, you outline the different kind of groups of people you're trying to reach. You got absolute beginners, you got developers that don't know anything about blockchain, developers that know about blockchain but not about zero knowledge, yeah, there's all these. You got like students. Yeah, all these different groups. So yeah, I agree with you that I don't think there is kind of one size fit all education, but I think ideally it would be nice if there was kind of a path that you could walk from 0 to all the way up.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, one of the difficulties we've had before is trying to write an article and not deciding beforehand the level of the knowledge of the reader. And what you end up doing is part of it's too complicated and part of it's too simple, and nobody's happy at the end. And that's something we want to avoid in the content we'll be creating.
Yeah, definitely.
So basically, we can go with two programs like ZK Academy, let's say, to broaden the understanding of ZK on the basic level. So everyone in crypto chats can understand it better and share that there is Alio using ZK, etc. And the other program is basically a development contest. You're already running it. It's grants program. It's a Leo programming contest.
Yeah, I think that's actually interesting. Yeah, maybe we could even just leverage what we have: feature bounties, grants program, programming contests in one category for people that maybe want to build more versus, yeah, newcomers, maybe having that as a separate category, but putting it kind of all under the branch of like ambassadors, something like that. Maybe that makes sense as well. I think we'll have
blockchain for blockheads.
Sure, why not? It sounds
guys, you can also find a good combination here. So developers, they can create applications and games for the whole community, and we, as as like non-developers, we can just test and try it, give feedback, ideas. That's really a good symbiosis here.
Yeah, spread the word.
Yeah.
Symbiotic relationship. Yeah, between developers.
I never talked to you about this, Errol, but one of the kind of early games that I thought would be neat with Alio would be some kind of text-based hidden role game, right? I don't kind of like Werewolf or Among Us.
X-based. What do you mean by that?
Space Station 13.
Is that a hidden role game, Evgeny?
Yeah, it's like a crazy space station game where everyone has some role and a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, similar to that, but like text based, right? So like back to the
text,
like 1960 GUI, right? Like you know what? Like ideally, like the reason why I said text is I thought it would be cool if the game could like literally be run in Discord, right, in a chat or something. We had a bunch of people, and there was like they had to get information. They were able to like create proofs of certain things and all this, and people could be defecting and betraying one another and all that good hidden role stuff.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of energy now going into the ZK gaming space, and everyone's kind of realizing that you can do a lot with this space in terms of putting these games on a blockchain. And now it's time to actually innovate and create them and overcome the practical problems of making them fun and worthwhile. Yeah, it's the boring slog.
Do you know what most interesting for me for now, at least? I think it will be best create a widget for Windows or Mac, widget which is showing ETH gas price, because I think everyone using that program, and we need definitely
showing which El Turco?
Which is showing ETH gas price, Ethereum gas price.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, Alex loves talking about this, but zero knowledge oracles are going to be huge, absolutely huge, and that what you're describing would be kind of one example of a ZK oracle, or in that case, the price of gas. But a lot of people would like to have ZK oracles for all kinds of prices, and particularly like the thing that I want to see is like zero knowledge portfolio management, right? So you could have like crypto hedge funds that are able to prove performance of their fund without revealing what their strategies were.
Whoa,
kind of shit.
Wait, that's really interesting. I never thought about that.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, dude, it's going to be huge.
Portfolio management. Wow.
It'd be huge.
You want some FTX or Binance bought your program also? Because FTX bought already Blockfolio.
Well, I mean, I've been pushing for seeing if we can figure out a partnership with kind of these like DeFi portfolio managers, and see if we can talk any of them into just using us for their kind of just add ZK. I still hope that we get somewhere with that.
I think more ideas will come when there is some basic educational stuff, like where the key idea comes from, what problems it was supposed to solve in theory, and some, I don't know, theoretical use cases, etc. And then people will catch it up and bring more ideas.
Well, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And this is why I say that, like, I think that the best ideas aren't going to come from us. They're going to be from someone out there working on some problem that they're really passionate about, and they come to the realization that the only way they can solve this problem is with zero knowledge, right? And then they come to us and we're like, oh shit, look, this is a really cool use case.
Yeah, for sure. Agree with that. Cool.
And for that, we have to create awareness, of course. So reach as much as possible developers and people all over the world. So that's our goal here.
Knockage GitHub.
Yeah. Oh, also, wait, El Turco, you're Turkish-based, correct? Are you muted if you're
Yes,
trying to talk?
yes, correct.
What gave that away?
Okay, that's I don't know. I didn't want to assume. But I was just gonna say, Errol, I know you're gonna be in Turkey at some point. I know we talked about it before. Maybe we could connect to see if, El Turco, you have any context on the physical presence of people in the Turkish community, like where they're located and stuff, because if Errol is there, I mean, I'm also down to go out as well. I mean, I was recently in Greece, so I was pretty close, but I didn't end up going to Turkey. But basically trying to do some sort of workshop or something. We're trying to engage with the community in some way. I don't know.
For context, I'll probably be going to Turkey every month or two for a week or two, and usually by Istanbul. But if, for example, there's lots of people in Izmir or Ankara or somewhere else, I'm quite happy to head over there and do some physical stuff. Could just be quite fun, or to help you with whatever you think might be useful.
Yes, and mostly of our community based on Istanbul or Ankara, because people mostly joining to this blockchain area from these cities because they are biggest, and most people most people interested in blockchain area from these cities. I think Istanbul or Ankara will be best to choose.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's good to know. Anyway, I don't.
By the way, Errol already came to our group and already meet with our friends.
Cool, nice. All right, let's follow up in a separate discussion about that. But I know, Errol's going to be there regularly, and I want to try to get out there as well. So maybe we can try to do that. And then, we'll try to do that maybe for other regions as well. Maybe Russia or something like that as well. I think that would be fine. Not sure if Alex would be able to go, considering his background in the U.S. military. I don't know if they stop people, but anyway.
Could be a problem.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, so I think we're about like 6 minutes over time, so maybe I'll end it here, but I really appreciate everybody contributing to the conversation, and we look forward to releasing some more updates on this program and getting some additional feedback in the near future. So again, thanks for all your comments, and just as a reminder, we have our ZK salons every Monday. I think this Monday we're going to try to tailor it to some of the examples that people submitted. You can also join our Leo stand-up or SnarkOS stand-up, which happened tomorrow as well. That begins, I think, 11 to 12 is SnarkOS, and then 12 to 1 Eastern is Leo Lang. So thanks everybody.
Is this going to be weekly as well?
This I just set up as a one-off thing to gather more feedback, but maybe when we internally do some updates, maybe we can just set up another call to share updates. Maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel it's the best way.
Okay.
So it's not enforced.
Yeah, I think we'll do it. Yeah, exactly. We'll just do it whenever it's the right time. Maybe we'll give like a week in it, like a few days advance notice or something. Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
Thank you very much for
Thank you, everyone.
inviting and bringing
Yeah,
it to discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.